All right, guys, I'm here with another quick video. So I did a thing, even though I am a Kyosho Mini C, I guess, purist, if you will. Um, I was very curious about this associated SR27. So I went out and bought one yesterday. Um, and I am very, very impressed. Some of the things that I like are right off the bat. Um, Back in the days when I used to race 10 scale, there was only these lexan bodies, and I always thought they were kind of ugly. And I was wrong. This car looks very, very nice. In fact, when you race pan car 128 scale, you are using lexan bodies, so it's up to you how you make them look, right? How nice or not. But I was always a fan of the Kyosho hard bodies. But anyhow, um, right off the bat, I'm very impressed with how nice these cars look with the Lexan. So this video is about a quick comparison between uh, the SR27 and a Kyosho. This is my box stock car. It's running a hard plastic Yumorima body. And let's just take this off right off the bat. And it's pretty much box stock, with the exception of what? Optional Kyosho springs in the tires, which are trued, and that. But besides that, it's a box stock car. And this is a box stock SR27. All right, so like I was saying, here's the car without the top cover. I took this off because I was very curious as to what's under the hood. I also wanted to shorten the wires a little bit because I felt they were way too long and breaking the motor. You've noticed that I've changed the differential. This is running a Kyosho ball diff as opposed to the plastic diff. And I did that because I found that this was, it's just binding a little bit. So it needs a little bit of work. So maybe I'll do a video on how I'm going to tune this. My box stock car has a Kyosho diff with, it's been cleaned and there's a little bit of grease inside, which makes it work really nice and really smooth. But onto this car, some of the things that I really love is the fact that there is an actual servo in here, as opposed to the Kyosho car that has a motor and a potentiometer and a bunch of gears, and everything is sort of loose in there that makes up your servo. This actually has an actual servo. And what that means is that if in the future, again, yet to be confirmed, I want to replace the servo with something that it's a little bit better performing, maybe faster, maybe programmable, I can do that. Whereas you can't really do that with a standard Kyosho car. Moving on, the suspension is a very simple design, what I would call a KISS from what other manufacturers use that terminology. So it's a very simple, but going back to the whole servo thing, it doesn't have a lot of play. The play that you're seeing here is the play from the tie rod against the knuckles, but the servo horn assembly is really not moving. If you go over to a box stock, there is tons of play here on this MR03 gearbox inside. In driving this car here, my home track, it is much more precise and it's much more responsive. It drives really, really good. I did make the mistake of not turning off the gyro just yet, but again, the gyro doesn't really help me much, I don't think, as I know how to drive the Mini Cs. Again, but I'll turn it off just to confirm. The car out of the box on RCP track, it's running the standard tires. I find that it doesn't have a whole lot of steering, or could use more steering. The car seems to push a little bit out of the box. You can see sort of the, let me get something I can point with. The wear marks here from the RCP. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these tires and I'm going to true them. The backs seem to be okay. So one thing that is interesting is that these tires are 24 0.5 millimeters in diameter out of the box, which is nice because they're much shorter than the Kyosho tires. So these are actually 25.5 millimeters in the back. I think the front is the same, but these are trued. Actually, these are not trued. But so it kind of helps with the handling. So that was a nice surprise on the car. The car is taller on its side profile, but it does have a narrower profile because the electronics are nice and flat against the battery tray, which is nice. So this is actually very much like a PN 2.5 chassis, which I run in my mod car. And I love this. I love this setup. It's great. You know, very nice plastic T-plate. So this is actually a little bit harder than the Kyosho T-plate, which is nice because it won't break, but it does flex very nicely. I'm seeing now that you have some openings there where you could potentially bring in some LiPo cables if you wanted to run LiPo on this card. I don't know if the ESC will support it, but I'll have to reach out to associated with that and a few other questions. But the back end is very similar to the Kyosho back end, very similar. I'm happy to see that you can put in the, this is actually an MR04 differential. So MR03, MR04 differential, I mean, it works. I don't see why you couldn't put any springs in the front. I'll have to research that. Right now, there's the one thing that I noticed is there's tons of room to shim this and get rid of droop. So the car doesn't necessarily have any droop. It just has big, heavy springs. But you could shim this to lower the car a little bit. So this car out of the box is pretty high compared to my MR03 and my other race car. But you can definitely lower this a tiny bit. There's tons of travel on this front end suspension. What else? The board looks fantastic. It's bigger than the MR03 or MR04 Evo boards, and you also have the ability, again, a 3-wire servo. You know, there was another video by Access RC where he talks about connecting the transponder here. I'm not sure what this is for. We'll have to investigate, and but everything else is great. So I can see a lot of different top covers coming out for this car in the future to do different things and different shocks and so forth. So I'm really excited to see how this car would pan out on a box stock class against the Mini C's box stock, or even perhaps changing to a faster motor and then hopping up the car to do other things. I haven't tried a hard body yet. I don't think I'm going to. I like these because you can put lexan bodies. So I hope Associated comes out with more lexan bodies for this. And I don't have a scale handy now, but this car seems to be a little bit lighter than the MR03 box stock. It could just be me, but I think that is the case. What else I wanted to highlight on this car that I thought was interesting? That's pretty much it. I like the design very much. I like the design very much. So, you know, for those of you that know what a Fed upgrade is, I think that these are very accessible to be upgraded and stacked. If that were something that you wanted to do or were allowed or whatnot. But yes, and the car, even though it looks like it's a higher profile car, like taller sidewise than I gotta line this up. Oh, I have the screws on there, that's why it's not going on. Okay, even though it looks like it's taller than an MR03 in terms of the side profile, it's actually not. They're very comparable. So we'll just have to see. But I am really impressed with the handling of this car. I've driven it at the 50%, the 75%, the 100%, and you can definitely tell there's a difference in the delivery of power. So it's slower or faster And uh, the 50% is not that slow either with the number 7 tooth pinion. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to taking it out to my local track, which is obviously much, much larger, much more technical than my setup here at home. But yep, that's it. I am impressed. I am impressed. Good car. Bye.